Hello, this is week number 33 for fourth grade distance learning. We have been learning about the instrument families, musical instruments that are in different groups. We've learned about the woodwind family, the string family. Today we're going to talk about the percussion family. And the percussion family actually has all kinds of different instruments, more instruments than normal, and there are different rules for each family. If you remember, there's different rules for every single family of instruments. Sometimes you blow them. With the percussion family, you don't blow them at all. There are three different things, and I'm going to show you my poster first of all. This says, and it's kind of glared, okay, this says, on it, it says, striking or shaking a percussion instrument produces its sound. Most percussion instruments are used for making rhythms. Drums are common percussion instruments, okay? So if you are going to be part of a percussion family, if you're an instrument that's part of a percussion family, you might shake it like this. This is a kabasa. This is part of shaking it to make the sound. Or sometimes you use your hand like this. Sometimes you strike it with something else. This is a djembe. This is a djembe from the music room. And to make the sound, I don't shake this one. I strike it with my hand. So that is a percussion instrument that follows the rule where you have to strike it, okay? Or you hit two things together. And there, an example of that would be even just rhythm sticks. You don't shake them. You don't use your hand to pat them, nothing. But if I hit something together, and there are lots of different instruments that fit into those categories. You either shake them, you strike them with something, maybe sometimes two percussion instruments like sticks, or you tap them with your hand. Okay, this is a rhythm. This is a rain stick. This is a rain stick. And in this case, I'm just turning it upside down. Listen carefully. So I guess I'm officially shaking it, but I'm doing it very, very slowly. So all percussion instruments are used like that. This is something, an old-fashioned, this is like an antique. It's a washboard. People used to wash clothes with this before they had things to plug in and washing machines. It's kind of ripply. It's made out of metal. And what I would do is I would strike it with something like another stick, and I would go like this. So if I'm going to play this, some people even use spoons. You could use two spoons and put two spoons together, and by pounding them together and maybe tapping them on your knee, that's a percussion instrument. So sometimes there are tunes to them, like your virtual instruments that you worked on, your xylophone or your marimba that you learned your Star Wars song on. You needed to, because it was a computer, you just had to touch something or drag it to something. So that doesn't, because it's on the computer, that really don't really shake it, you don't really strike it, you more touch a particular key. But if it was a real xylophone or if it was a real marimba, you would have mallets. Sometimes they look like this. And you would touch it. When you touch the key of the xylophone, that's how you're going to make your sound. You're striking it with a different mallet. Drumsticks, like if you have a snare drum or something like that, this is what they look like. These are drumsticks. I'm trying to make it so you can see better. These are drumsticks, and you're really playing the drum by hitting it, striking it with two drumsticks. So mallets are what you call kind of the little sticks that you hit them with, or drumsticks. And so today I'm going to show you a video about that. Then there's going to be a worksheet probably next week. I think next week I'll give you a worksheet on the percussion family. I want to show you some of these pictures here. These are all percussion instruments. These are called timpanis or kettle drums, because sometimes they call them kettle drums because they look like giant pots from your kitchen. This is a bass drum here. Again, you strike all of these things with a mallet or drumsticks. This is a snare drum, and you use regular drumsticks for those. And that's what you might see in a marching band. These are some other percussion instruments. The little triangle up here, there's a little tiny mallet that you use right next to it, and then and that vibrates, and that's really important. A lot of percussion instruments are super important that they vibrate. So if you touch them with your hands, the sound will stop. This is a large gong. You have to use a really large mallet for that. These are cymbals, and they fit in the category because you bang them together, you strike them together. This is a wood block. This is a tambourine. You can shake it or tap it with your hands. These are claves, and these are castanets. I'm sorry. These are maracas, and of course you shake those to make the sound. So if you're a percussionist in a band, if you're a percussionist, you learn how to play all of these. These are glockenspiel, and you use a mallet. These are xylophones, which is kind of like what you use for your Star Wars song. These are tempo blocks. I'm trying to remember what the real name is. I can't remember. This is a larger marimba. These are chimes that you might hear, like when you hear a church bells playing like out of a loudspeaker on the top of a church. It would be this kind of thing. And sometimes people put pianos or keyboards into the percussion instrument because they have a rhythm. So I'm going to turn this on to learn about the percussion instruments, and pay attention because remember, there will be a test in a few weeks about all of the instrument families.
An orchestra adventure with Maestro Carl and friends. Playful percussion.
Imagine, if you will, a phenomenon that surrounds us everywhere we go. The phenomenon of music. How is it that organizing sounds in certain ways makes us feel so strongly? At the end of the day, what makes music so powerful remains a mystery. Music is constantly around us, even if we don't notice it.
Welcome, everyone. So glad you could join us. Today, we're going to go on the final leg of our journey. We're going to learn all about percussion. Percussion instruments are those that produce sound when struck with hands, sticks, or mallets. You can shake them, rattle them, scrape them, bang them together. Percussion instruments were the first instruments ever invented by humans, other than the human voice, of course.
It's 6 a.m. No parenting until the afternoon.
I'm going to call my friend Josh Jones, principal percussionist at the Calgary Phil. He's an absolute percussion master.
Hello?
Hey Josh, it's Carl. You sound like you're ootin' a boot.
Hey, Carl. Yeah, I'm just walking by the river. What do you need?
I was hoping you could tell us all about the world of percussion.
Yeah, percussion is anything. Literally anything you see in the world is a percussion instrument. My body, my hands, my feet, literally anything.
Now, I heard a rumor that there are a ton of percussion instruments and that you have to be proficient on all of them?
That's right. Let's take a look at some of them. Snare drum. Triangle. Bass drum. Tambourine. Cymbals. Wiro. This is a cajon.
Wow, you just gave us a whole tour of Calgary along with all those percussion instruments. Now, most of those instruments only produce one general pitch, but what about the family of percussion instruments that can play lots of different notes?
Yeah, on these instruments, we can play so many different colors and sounds and different notes. This instrument is my favorite, called a vibraphone, and I love it because it has a motor that can vibrate the sound.
Amazing. Josh, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed by just how many percussion instruments there are.
Yeah, me too. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Bye, Carl.
There are almost too many percussion instruments to count, but there's a special set of drums that's usually the responsibility of just one musician in the orchestra. Take a look at this. Those are the timpani, and they've been part of symphonic writing longer than any other percussion instrument. I'm going to see if Principal Timpanist Alex Cohen is available for a quick chat. Hello?
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from.
Maestro Carl!
Would you like to accept the charges?
Yes, I'll accept the charges.
Alex, hey, thanks. I've just been so busy exploring the orchestra with my friends here that I just forgot to pay my phone bill.
That's okay, Carl. I'm used to bailing you out on the stage all the time.
Yes. Well, what can you tell us about your instrument?
These big drums that you often see on stage with the symphony orchestra are called timpani. They became a standard part of the orchestra during the Baroque and Classical eras, as a kind of reinforcement for the harmony and rhythm of a musical phrase, when the composer really wanted to get their point across.
So, how did the role of the timpani change as time went on?
In the Romantic era, and afterwards going into the 20th century, composers began using the timpani in a more varied way, allowing it to take on a wider range of colors and characters. We have pedals, or in this case, a chain, that loosens and tightens the drum head. That is, the part of the drum that I strike here at the top. We often have to change pitch while music is being played around us, so we timpanists have to listen very carefully and adjust the pitch accordingly.
Looks like being a timpanist requires some extreme focus. Thanks, Alex.
No worries. See you later.
You know, we hear all this talk about 19th century and 20th century, but what about the 21st century? Aha! I know that music. That's a piece called Inner Ear by Barbara Crowell. Did you see how the bassists were using their knuckles to tap their instruments? It almost seemed like they were turning their string instruments into percussion instruments. I'd say this is a perfect moment for our composer profile. Composer profile. Barbara Crowell was born in... Wait a minute. I can just give her a call.
Honey?
Hey, Barbara. This is Maestro Carl calling from the Calgary Philharmonic. We were just listening to your piece Inner Ear, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind telling us a bit about yourself and your music.
Bonjour, Carl. Anisha. Manadom nesse num jabana, tenido do tem, e aí Anisha me queen now. Passo por vamos in the queen edition course. Yes, I'm from Manitoulin Island, I'm Ottawa, and I'm Golden Eagle Clan, and my traditional Anishinaabe name means shining water or calm water that reflects the light. And my new piece, Inner Ear, in G Palgom, was inspired by Beethoven's Second Symphony. As you know, Beethoven was a very gifted composer, but he was losing his hearing. And I imagine that Beethoven was out for one of his walks to work out his music in his mind. In the orchestra, the flute portrays a moth that flies into Beethoven's ear and gives him some ideas for his music, but gets stuck inside his ear and tries to get out. And eventually, when he escapes Beethoven's ear, all the birds and bugs in the woods welcome him back with a celebratory round dance. Many people across Turtle Island sing round dances to lift our spirits up when we're sad.
We all have an inner ear. This is when we use our inner hearing to imagine sounds or music inside our heads. And I have to say, conductors especially have to make good use of our inner ears. When we're looking at a piece of music, we have to be able to read the notes and imagine in our heads how the music sounds. What else do conductors do? What's with all that arm flailing anyways? If only I could remember what music director Runa Bergman told me that one time.
Carl, it's me. Carl, don't worry. I'm here to help you. The conductor stands in front of the orchestra and leads the rehearsals and performances. You collaborate with all the musicians to shape how the music takes form. We use our facial expressions and body language to express the emotions and the character of the music. The conductor also gets to decide on the tempo. This is how fast or how slow a piece will be played. The right hand keeps the beat, while the left hand shows the expressive qualities of the music. Let's all learn how to conduct in common time, meaning there are 4 beats. If you take your right arm like this, and we go down, left, right, up, down, left, right, up. Let's do it together. Ready? Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. I think you're all on your way to becoming fantastic conductors.
Okay, so that was a short, kind of a combination of percussion family and learning how to conduct. And the conductor is the person who stands in front of the orchestra or the band every day. Remember, a composer, the word composer is the person who writes the song, comes up with the idea in their head, like an author. The conductor could be a man or a woman, and they are the ones who stand up in front of the orchestra or the band, and they kind of run the show. So that was the percussion family. There's one family next week, and that one is actually next week we're going to do a worksheet on the percussion. The week after that, we're going to do the brass family. And so so there's no homework this week, but next week there will be a worksheet on percussion, and then we'll learn about the brass family, and then we'll be done with the instrument family. So have a great week. Bye.